built to win now, and Detroit is rebuilding. I think Dallas is pretty excited about Dak Prescott. I think Dallas is very excited about that.
Right, but if they're excited about it because he's been awesome in the preseason, that's just foolish.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay,
hold on. Getting all hyped up about the preseason.
In the context of trading for another quarterback, I think they're looking to Dak Prescott to do what we're asking the Tigers to do. Just don't make sure it's not awful. And I think they feel that Dak Prescott can make sure it's not awful.
Right,
and
but
I don't think they'd be compelled to trade for Matthew Stafford.
No, I don't think the Cowboys are. But I think the Cowboys figured Dak Prescott to be the heir apparent to Tony Romo, and it could get going a lot sooner than they ever thought because of Romo's injury.
They tried like crazy to trade up for Paxton Lynch. Dallas did, and they were stuck with Dak Prescott later, and now they're saying
a bunch of options.
They wouldn't trade Dak Prescott for Paxton Lynch at this point. Another one here: dump Stafford on Dallas and spend the next 3 years developing a young quarterback. At least we would know what the future holds, not the same disappointment every year. Well, that young quarterback would be Jake Rudock. If you're going to spend the next 3 years, the only young quarterback they have on the roster is Jake Rudock.
Yeah, that's not one.
Jake Rudock's not ready to start a game in the NFL, and that's your 0-16 scenario. And with all respect due, I think Jake Rudock may develop into a quarterback, but if you want to do that now, I think he would struggle mightily. The Lions will be fine. There's no correlation whatsoever between preseason and regular season. 248-539-9797. Ron is on a cell, and he's next here on 97.1. Hi, Ron.
Good afternoon. I was a bit disappointed and have been the last.
Hey, Ron, do you have us on a speakerphone?
I've got you on Bluetooth.
Can you take us off Bluetooth if you don't mind?
Give me just a second.
We appreciate it. It's like turn your radio down. Bluetooth isn't great.
Okay, there we go. Is that
much better? Much better.
Thank you.
Okay. I was disappointed. I was at the last home game and then was following the game this weekend, and I expected more this year, maybe badly, but my hope is that the offensive line will end up being like Dallas is in a year or two when it gets, but that's where I'm disappointed. 3 penalties, 4 penalties, 5 penalties at 5 points. I kind of agree with Cooter that they need to play this week to get some more growth and continuity because it could get ugly. I'm just hoping. I thought Amir Abdullah looked like he would help the running game, but when you get a touchdown and it's called back because of penalties, you get 3 penalties in almost like 3 plays and take yourself out of scoring position. I'm afraid this year that their offensive line is going to bite them in the butt.
Well, Ron, it's Abdullah did look good on that run. He also dropped the 3rd down pass, but I believe that was either the first or second time he touched the ball in the preseason, which is why I think it's important for him to play again and play more. Even though it is a risk to play guys in the preseason, I think they need to do it. The offensive line is the single most critical unit on the Detroit Lions team. Outside of quarterback, but the quarterback,
yep.
his success and failure, if you look at his numbers between when he's pressured and when he's given time, he is a substantially different quarterback. It is a quarterback that needs some help. He's not one of those guys like Tom Brady who just has a rotating cast around him. And that's okay. You can win with a guy like that, but you have to be able to block. And that group, with their young talent, could go a variety of directions. It could be a disaster, and it could also be the beginning of something very good.
Yeah. And one of my concerns was the old man on the offensive line right now is Riley Reeves, and he was the one that seemed to be penalized the most, and he should be setting the example and leading by example 3-4 years in.
Well, the good news is it's correctable. Penalty is it's a mental thing. It's good, particularly if you're jumping off. If you have a false start against you, holding calls are about technique. It's all correctable. If you're just flat out getting beat, then I get nervous.
248-539-9797. Last chance to get your Champ and Chump votes in, so do so now. Some votes coming in. We'll get to in a moment. Here's one regarding our comparison between the 2016 Tigers and the 2006 Cardinals from an unnamed texter, and it's a valid point. You can't compare the 2016 Tigers to the 2006 Cardinals. There's one huge difference. Ausmus is nowhere near the manager La Russa was and never will be. Tony La Russa was one of the all-time greats. That definitely is in that Cardinals corner. I guess they're just...
Tony La Russa, is he Ivy League?
I don't know where
Harvard.
Maybe he was. I don't know where he went to college. We got that call again today for people who missed it. It's a valid point. And yet I'm not going to discount any team that makes the postseason. I think has an opportunity, especially one that can parade out some pretty good starting pitching, which is what the Tigers can do. They can. We went to a stretch earlier in the year where they played back-to-back series against playoff teams, and if they were postseason series, Tigers would have won one and been up 3-1 in the other. Gator. Then there's this. Champ Justin Verlander, chump Keith Appling. I want to talk about Appling here for a second for people who missed it, arrested again. I'm bringing this up because there's a relevance to it. At the beginning of last week, I turned to you and I said, I get the sense that Amir Mitchell will never play a down for the University of Michigan. And by midweek, it was announced that he was transferring from the University of Michigan. I got that sense based upon rumblings, scuttlebutt, sounding as though that it wasn't going to work at a place where there were some things that they're taking very seriously, and Amir Mitchell didn't look like, based upon the scuttlebutt, was going to comply with what was asked of him. Was there any scuttlebutt on Keith Appling that there was a behavior problem?
Not that I recall. And if this story, what we're being told, that the police statements are true about this is awful. This is one bad decision after another. He's alleged to have had a run-in with the police where he's pulled over. The officers smelled marijuana. He takes off with the cop kind of still attached to the car. The cop's able to free himself, and then they pull him over a little bit later without incident, thankfully. But they find this bag that he had thrown out of the car in the interim, and the bag contained a gun, a loaded gun, and that's just a whole bunch more bad news for Keith Appling. It looks awful.
Stop committing moving violations with marijuana and loaded weapons in your car. Okay? This keeps happening, and it's got to stop. And I got to tell you, it's just, this story's either going to end tragically or with somebody in prison, and there's a lesson to be learned, and he doesn't appear to be learning it. When you get in trouble once for something pretty damn severe, you would think that would be enough of a wake-up call. It doesn't appear to have been enough of a wake-up call. 248-539-9797. Open lines. Ticket text 97136. Champ and Chump votes. Get them in right now. Last chance to vote. 97.1.